So I was asked by Alyssa to talk about what it was like to have a sibling who was an addict. And I say was because he is my brother, is one of many who I don't want to say lost his battle with his demons, but ended his pain, which is another video, with addiction. So my brother started dabbling in different substances very early on. Started, experimenting with his friends, and we got tipped off by somebody very close to him when it became more. And it, could have been a serious problem, because when somebody's young, it's hard to label them as an addict. It's hard anytime to really do that, but when they're that young, it's easier to think to yourself that it's just a phase, just they'll grow out of it, it's partying, there's no underlying serious causes, that kind of thing. I kind of had red flags early because I'm not the type to really do that, so I get scared even when it's a little too much for somebody, because it's not me. Many times, unfortunately, I'm a little too accurate, but I'm a little quick, I will admit, to worry that somebody's gonna go in that direction. I've been around a lot of addiction, both people in recovery, people still struggling, and people who have lost their battle with addiction. For quite a few years, I took it upon myself. I don't want to say it was ever placed on me. I took it upon myself to become another parent to my brother. We lost our father in 2009 to leukemia and pneumonia. And that just really set off a whole new side to my brother's addictions. We lost him when my brother was around 18, so that was a really, really impressionable and crucial age for something that traumatic to happen. And so I ended up taking on willfully a lot of responsibility. I didn't want my mom to have to take it on herself. We were all grieving my dad, but, especially my mom. They were married over 20 years. And it hit her extremely hard. So I was a night owl anyway, still am. So I would, see a lot. And I would sometimes be very, very tough on him. Tough love. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. He did try, though. There were many, many times where my mom and, whether it was a relative or a friend, we would take him out to all over the island to get help. I had friends who run a foundation based in Florida were willing to help, and whether it was at a point where he wasn't ready or he was ready and then would get driven out on the island only to find out there were no beds or there was a waiting list. It became very evident to me very quickly that addicts have a very, very short attention span when it comes to making that decision. If you hesitate for 1 second when they're ready, and I'm speaking to the facilities mostly, if you hesitate for 1 second, you don't realize what thoughts are going through their head. Oh, they don't want me either. I'm never going to get help. I can't do this alone. Maybe I'm not meant to get sober. And on and on and on. All of these thoughts will make them turn around, walk out, and use again. And, like I said, there is a foundation of people that I'm very close to out in Florida. The last program that my brother was in was very good. Alyssa was his counselor. And they tried to help him a lot. But there were some where part of me is like, maybe if that place didn't turn him away, maybe. And that's not like me at all, because I do have such a strong faith, like, what was going to happen was going to happen whichever way it happened in the end. But it's such an epidemic that you always have that hope. You never give up, especially if you're personally affected by it, like I was, with, my brother being the addict that I'm speaking about. You never give up hope until they're literally not there anymore. Our father, like I said, I think I said earlier in this video, he was like 27 years sober before he passed away. Something around there, like 24, 27 years. I think it might have been closer to 24. Don't quote me. The point is, you never lose hope, especially if you've seen the other side of it, where somebody does come out successful and sober and has the longevity of sobriety, because there's, a lot of times where somebody will find sobriety but relapse, and a cycle will begin of sobriety, relapse, sobriety, relapse. Every single addict is different. And I'm just focused now on trying to help the loved ones of addicts to not only cope with what's going on within them, because I firmly believe that addiction is a family disease, and whether you're ingesting the substances or not, your thought patterns are a lot like the addict. Helping them sometimes becomes your addiction. And then there's the whole enabling aspect. It's very, very complex and complicated, and I want the loved ones of addicts to realize that they do have a voice. They do have a right to their feelings, and only when they realize that can they truly help the addict. But even then, ultimately what happens is up to the addict. So that's, in a nutshell, what my brother's addiction has taught me, and what a little bit of what I went through with his addiction. I'll be sending in another video on his ultimate suicide over 3 years ago now. But I hope this helps somebody. My name is Marissa Molesky. My brother's name was Nick Molesky, and I also urge everybody to embrace the fact that your loved one is not just an addict. Remember them as who they really were.